Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. We're taking a look here today at VET, which is VeChain, of course. That's why you click the link. It's a really cool coin, one of my all-time favorites. I've been investing in this for quite some time. I promise there's going to be no bias here, but I can tell you that there's good fundamentals you want to research that on your own. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Always recommend you do your own research, but I can tell you're going to learn a lot here today, or just in general, from all of my videos. If you are new to the channel, it's really cool in the sense that I get to be able to help people become better traders. So I've got a link in the description below for my Patreon account. I share all of my trades with my community members, and I actually have trading bots too, which is cool. You can just one-click follow and have a good old time. Check that out in your own time, of course. But I want to let you know that you always want to develop your own trading style. Okay? So learn what you can from me, learn what you can from others, become your own trader. Don't just follow everything that somebody says because they say it, right? Be creative, be thoughtful. It took me a long time to get here, and a lot of the things that I know now are things I've learned vicariously through others. So just again, recommend you keep an open mind. Everyone has different risk tolerances. What I teach you here today may not be the best method for you, and that's okay. I'm more of a conservative trader. I prefer to take profits when I can. I'm focused more so on quality over quantity. All right. Regardless, I hope you learned something here today. That is my goal, and I thank you so much for joining me here. Why don't we just go ahead and get right to the charts? Let's check it out. All right, folks, go ahead and take a look here at VeChain. Just before we do, we look at Bitcoin, Ethereum first. So if you are new to the channel, we just take a quick peek at those to understand whatever you want to call it. We need to look at that to make sure we know specifically what Bitcoin is doing, because coins like this, VeChain specifically, they're very reliant on Bitcoin's movement, right? There's a little bit of a delay, and I'll explain that here in a moment, but it's important to know that. All right, so we'll take a look at that here. And just before we do as well, I use TradingView.com desktop application. I like to mention that because I get a lot of questions on it, so I figure I'd just help you out by throwing it out there. So first of all, TradingView.com, very good resource for trading charts. I have a link in the description below for a free month if you want to try to consider checking that out and seeing if you like it. All good if not, but I can tell you that you get more than 2 indicators present at any given time, and it's extremely helpful to have that option, because you'll see here in just a moment that I go through a lot of different indicators. I prefer 2 per time frame, but I look at 4 to 6 time frames at any given period. So it's important to know that. Anyways, check that out. Link in the description. I think I'd mentioned that. Now, this is the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. And what we do is we just take a quick look at some of the moving averages. And what's great right now is the price is above the 50-day simple moving average, but below the 200. That's pretty standard considering all the price action, but we're up above the 200 again. And it's actually holding for the last, I don't know, 16, 20 hours? It's pretty awesome. Basically just reinforcing the support level at about 43,000 even, which was a previous resistance. I know we've got a lot of stuff on the chart here, but let me explain. We've got a resistance at 44,000 and a support at 41. So we're basically in the channel of 41 to 44,000, but closer to 43 to 44. Now, big picture here, let's take a quick look at the 1 day just really quick, because I need to explain this. If the price does not close above 44,000, it's still considered a resistance on the 1 day chart. We have an hour and a half left in that time frame. Therefore, I speculate we may not break it, but if we do, great. We might be able to continue to progress upwards. But generally speaking, with tomorrow being Friday, typically we have red Fridays for the most part, at least in the mornings. I'm speculating we're going to see a retracement closer to 43, maybe even lower, depending on the news too, because the U.S. news, we got that federal government potential shutdown, a lot of little things going into this, so just keep that in mind. That could factor in, because there's a lot of fear. The fear mongering is pretty high right now. The FUD is real. Anyways, just pay attention. That has a lot to do with it. So it'll take a little while for some of these altcoins to kind of catch up to Bitcoin, if that makes any sense. So moving on to Ethereum, let's just take a quick look here. We've got a support and resistance channel here. We got somewhere around 2,900. This is a very strong support level previously, so that could continue to hold. The 50-day simple moving average is working as well as a support, a little bit higher, about 2,965. And of course, we've got 3,200 as a resistance level. So channel of 2,900 to 3,200, essentially a $300 plus or minus potential there. We'll definitely see what happens. But all in all, I like the state of Ethereum. Pretty normal, pretty standard. It's pretty much mimicking Bitcoin right now. But what's great is it's reaffirming the fact that we're probably not going to see a price lower than 2760 in the near future. Again, just depends on the next couple of weeks, but I speculate October is going to be a pretty strong month for most coins. specifically Bitcoin, but everything else follows that, right? So let's take a look here at VeChain really quick. And first thing to note, with the simple moving averages, prices below both, that's pretty normal right now. A lot of coins are kind of hovering at that point, so we'll bridge that gap when we get there, but for now, those are considered to be resistance levels. Let's go ahead and see if we can mark some support and resistance zones here. We got a pretty obvious one here at about 55 cents. Don't think we're going to get that low, but crazy. We got actually down to low 80s recently here. As we can see too here, but bear in mind too, Binance did have a, I think it was an upgrade of some sort earlier today, so we actually have a gap. You don't see this very often, but hopefully you didn't have a position available or a buy position that you're trying to buy in, because you would have gapped out. This is normal stuff that you see in traditional trading, but cryptocurrency a little less frequent. Just bear in mind, this is the Binance exchange. Other exchanges probably didn't experience that. But let's see here. Taking a look here, we've got a resistance. Again, that's a little ways away at about 150. 154. So let's go ahead and leave that the way that is for now. Actually, hold on, there is a bit of a resistance here too. Let's go ahead and just mark that here as well, but we're going to focus more so on support and resistance zones, just saying shorter time frames. We'll see what the 4-hour chart has to say, just because we see a lot of more recent price action here in the last 48 hours that's kind of staying underneath that channel. Let's go ahead and move on there. Hold on really quick though. First of all, something to note, and this is important to understand, we've got the price is under the 50 for the RSI. Okay, so just if you didn't know this already, the RSI, the 50, that's rather there's a dotted line there. It's considered to be it's a less frequent support and resistance zone. In other words, people don't use it very often, but it's still very reliable. So when the price is kind of stuck under that, that really helps us understand that it's still considered bearish divergence. It's trying to break above. I think it could very well soon, but just something to note. Okay. Convergence on the MACD is likely here, and that's a good sign. That's partially because we had the gap up, but regardless of that gap up, we'd see this anyways, but that does that's pushing the price up a little bit faster. So that convergence could mean that we could drill right through this resistance at about 10 cents and continue on its merry way back up to its recent high of about 15. So I think it's very, very likely for VeChain, because again, it kind of follows Bitcoin fairly frequent. So if we look at this here, let's go back to Bitcoin. You can see this shape it has, right? These legs down and then the increase. Same thing as well here. Leg down, but sideways. Leg down, sideways. So instead of recovering quickly, VeChain has a tendency of just decreasing. That's that fear, uncertainty, and doubt where people will pull out of altcoins more often than they will Bitcoin. And in this sense, with it falling almost to a T, we see this kind of pattern happening with a lot of coins that are pretty much 1-to-1 ratio with Bitcoin. Now, granted, VeChain has a possibility of going off on its own. It's done that before a few times, but for the most part, when we have these type of channels, similar to Ethereum, it's going to have this sideways action. But as we can see, the price didn't recover both times. It just keeps going down. Therefore, it'll recover even stronger now because we have this delay. So there's always a delay with VeChain. I've noticed it'll go down with Bitcoin, but when Bitcoin goes up and Ethereum goes up, VeChain's the last one to increase. So it's kind of like late to the party. It's that friend that's never on time, if you will, but but they're always a good time, if that makes sense. So we'll see here soon what happens with VeChain, but I think it's ready to start bouncing back pretty hard, especially if we can get some consistency with Bitcoin. I think we're going to see some of that here soon once we get another couple weeks into October. All right, so let's take a look here at the 4-hour. We're just breaking above the 50-day simple moving average. So not to say that that's a current support level now, but it could very well be if we can get this candlestick to close here in an hour and a half. Again, we got the resistance level here at about 10 cents. That could be tested in the near future. We're only about 5 cents away. And we got the RSI up over 50. So this is a good sign here because, again, the one-day chart's important to recognize because that's where the major support and resistance channels are held, right? But when it comes to the 50 on the RSI, the 4-hour chart, it's equally as effective. So what this basically means, and if you take a look here, we can see the price was pretty much stuck below this entire time. Now it's broken above, and it's a good likelihood it'll stay above. So that basically tells us we got bullish momentum and more of a bullish convergence, to the upside on the RSI. That's very, very good. We've also got a MACD convergence here at 2100 on the 28th. So it was a couple days ago. But let's go ahead and mark that anyways. So 2100 on the 28th. Right there. And I know you know where I'm going with this if you're new or not familiar. Sorry, if you are not new to the channel and familiar, you'll know where I'm going with that. I like to mark the 4-hour MACD convergence on the chart to kind of see how it correlates with the cloud. Because there's two things you want to look for as a swing trader, even as day traders. You want to use this as day trading too, but like the swing traders tool is essentially the MACD, the convergence in the MACD. When you see the 12 intersect with the 26 in an upward fashion, so it's faster moving line coming up here, right there, intersecting in an upward fashion. That basically tells us the bears have lost control, right, and the bulls are in control. Okay, so it's no longer going down, it's going up, and essentially that shift in momentum has occurred. But when we look at the 1-hour chart, we come over here and we go ahead and enable the Ichimoku cloud, we can see that it's very, very close. Now, what we look for in most cases, and this is more common, say it had continued to go upwards, it would have broke through and went up, but it had a second little retracement before it popped up. So now that it's not there, in other words, when the price is above the cloud, it's considered a buy signal. When it's below the cloud, it's considered a sell signal. So what I always look for is I look for the MACD convergence in the 4-hour chart. And then I can currently look to see if the price is above the 1-hour Ichimoku cloud. Okay. So here is roughly where we had that 4-hour convergence. So it was a little premature, but also still came to fruition, if that makes sense. So even though we had this bit of a retracement, it still continued to progress upwards. Now, a lot of that is because the price has been held down for so long. It's just a matter of time before it bounces back. A lot of altcoins have that tendency, but with VeChain, it is the kind of coin that's very slow to react, and more so goes sideways when Bitcoin bounces back up, right? So just keep that in mind. But now that we have that kind of in place, it is definitely a good consideration to take a long position right now, because the price being over the cloud, we have a convergence of the MACD, and we also have the potential for convergence on the 1-day chart. I think all paths lead to Rome here. That's a term, right? Use that in this situation. In other words, yes, I think this will eventually recover to 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, etc. I think it's realistic, extremely realistic, for the price to 2x between now and the end of October. In other words, I think it's pretty safe to say we'll see somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 cents in 1 month's time. That's my prediction, if you're going to call it that. I try not to use that term because nobody can predict that. But based on its history, its movement, and the fact that it's kind of slow, and the fact that the 4-year cycle is coming to fruition here next month in October, where we're expecting to see a 40 to 60% increase from Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's at 60,000 plus, VeChain will be at 20 cents plus. There's no doubt there, as it's almost a guarantee. Okay. Again, just depends on how it gets there. Because if Bitcoin just shoots straight to 50,000 and retraces down to 45 and has this jagged mountain, I don't know, if you look at the charts, if it's really, really sharp, then VeChain's going to be slow to recover because it gets knocked down quite quickly. I hope I'm making sense with that. Let's go and take a look here really quick with the got VWAP on my mind here. Let's look at TD sequential and quickly identify. We are in overtime right now, so if you are new to TD sequential, it counts up from 1 to 9. Once you hit a 9, it's considered to be a reset. It'll reset and retrace or go sideways. Therefore, we're at a 9 right now, basically the 4th previous candlestick before the 9 at the 5. That's essentially lower, so it counts up. What we should expect is for the price to not continue to increase much further, at least in the relative near future, right? Again, kind of depends on what Bitcoin's doing. If Bitcoin shoots to 45,000 right now, we'll see this come up and test its resistance of 10 cents. If Bitcoin continues just kind of on its merry way to test 44,000, it closes on the 1-day chart as a resistance level, then we're going to see a VeChain probably go sideways and retrace a little bit. But the key takeaway here is that we're seeing some healthy increases, right? So we got this leg up, over, up, over. We want to keep seeing that. So in other words, the price will keep going over here, and it could very well continue back upwards to test 10 cents. So I think that's likely, but we need to see some consolidation. What will probably happen is a mirror image of this. We'll probably see this happen soon. So it'll probably do one of these and continue on upwards. Again, really depends on what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin falls to 40,000 tomorrow morning because the federal government decides it wants to close, which it probably won't happen, but if it does, then yeah, we're going to see a significant decrease in VeChain. Right, so all those things pending aside, I think VeChain's on a very good track, very good trajectory here to basically break out in the near future. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the 15. Probably not going to really get much from it, just based on the simple fact that the price is going to be above EMA and VWAP. I mean, big surprise here. So it's considered bullish. Here's the one thing we want to look at though. The standard deviation from the VWAP line, which is the volume weighted average price, it's close to 8%. So as we can kind of see, it's outside the standard deviation lines, and it could very well come, I wouldn't say crashing back down, but it could likely retrace. That's why I foresee the price doing one of these here soon. So if I were to send out a signal on something like this, I would say probably consider trying to buy in at between 90 and 92 cents. I think 95 is a bit on the over-exaggerated side. Because again, the main reason why I say that is just because we are on, we're 2 hours into overtime on TD sequential. We're well above the Ishimoku cloud. We're almost 8% variance, from the VWAP line. Those are all mitigating factors in the sense that it will likely not continue to go up, right? So those are things kind of working against VeChain right now. So big picture, I think VeChain is fantastic and it's going to do very well, especially considering its role in the world, right? So if you don't know the fundamentals about this, I highly recommend you do your own research. It plays an impactful role, and I think that we're going to see some good things from VeChain here in the next 3 months. Because it's extremely low for where it could be. I mean, you look back here, April 17th, just before the Bitcoin sell-off, we're cranking up to about 25 cents. So yeah, year end, 20 to 25 cents is very likely. I think it will probably test and break its previous all-time high this year if Bitcoin can continue to progress the way it's supposed to, closer to 6 figures. So if you find benefit from this, please consider joining my Patreon account. I actually have a link in the description below to check that out. There's a video there. See if you like it or not. I basically send out signals to all of my members for every single trade that I take. And it's a really cool experience because we have a private chat. We all get to learn and grow together. So I'm just really fortunate, really blessed to be able to have some amazing people that are helping support the channel that way. So check that out in your own time. You actually benefit greatly too from it as well. It's kind of a full circle for everyone. So be happy to get to know you a bit better there. Check it out. So again, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.